Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Eastern Lariat podcast, your show for news, notes, reviews, and opinions on the world of Japanese pro wrestling here on cagematch.net. We are recording this on February 11, 2025. My name is STRIGGA. He is Dylan. And Dylan, I want to start this show with the words of the biggest Hirooki Goto fan that there is in the world. It's not you, it's Flosh. It's CM Flosh. I want to give a shout out to my good friend Flosh that I've been doing a podcast with for over 15 years. And he said 17 years, all the memes. And finally, it's true, the G in IWGP stands for Goto. And he continues with, by the way, it's day 0 in the goddamn year of Hirooki Goto. And I want to put a cherry on top of that. I wouldn't say it's the year of Hirooki Goto, Dylan. We are living in a new calendar system. We are living in a new era. Hirooki Goto has broken the mold. Hirooki Goto has broken the mold not because the company allowed him to, but I would say despite of the company, Hirooki Goto has broken the mold, and he is now ascended to the top of the company that I don't think that anyone seriously kept believing in for the last couple of years. But here we are. And I got to say, I was one of those that didn't believe and that has, of course, given into the memes. And I've been actually mean to Flosh and joked about Goto a couple of times. I want to admit that. I had not thought that we would ever be here. But at some point last year, when he went into the finals of the New Japan Cup, there was a change that you could feel, that people started believing in Goto and rallying behind Goto once again. And after that New Japan Cup run, he started to gain more momentum. He had that incredible run in the G1 Climax. Basically, the top of that was when he won in front of his children in Korakuen Hall and had that great speech. And I think that opened the eyes of many in New Japan Pro Wrestling that has led us to this day right now, here, day 0 in the era of Hirooki Goto.
Yeah, it's an unbelievable moment for me as such a big fan of Goto's over the years. I think that when it happened, it was so great, but I will say this, because what you said about the memes and all that, what Flosh said, of course, big shout out to Flosh, a fellow lover of Goto. Goto was always my favorite in New Japan as well. I've been more enjoying the ride he's been on as a tag wrestler with Yoshihashi over the last couple of years to even think about any of that. But I can confirm that because I remember, I'm going to take you back to something. I don't know if you remember this or not, Strigga, but if you remember, the very first year I was on Eastern Lariat, the G1 we did was the G1 he advanced to the finals against Omega. And I had predicted as 16. And I had predicted that Goto would win his block. And you looked at me like I was, you were talking to me like I was kind of crazy, or that I was just, it wasn't that I was crazy, it's that you thought I was, okay, he likes Goto, so he's picking Goto to win. But actually, my thinking of that was totally logical. That was the year they had the draw at the end with Okada and Tanahashi, and Goto made the finals off of a draw. The reason why I thought it would be Naito that won, not Omega, but the other block, but it made perfect sense to set up somebody to lose to the other person, but you're like, no, he can't even win the block on there. And I feel a little the same about this. It's obviously wonderful that he won. I remember his first title shot against Tanahashi, 2007 in November, which is an excellent match in and of itself. All of the fumbles that they had over the following 5 to 10 years, depending on who you would ask with him. And getting to this now, this win, like, it was objectively the right call on every level. Like, it was the logical, like, it was like him when Zach losing the belt. Zach should not be the champion. Like that. That's really how I feel about this title win. Ultimately, is that someone had to win the belt. Goto was the one that was popular. Like, none of the young guys they've deemed are ready. Some for good reason, as we saw at the Tokyo Dome. You know, they just needed someone to win the belt that could connect with the fans.
And we've actually laid that out, that a veteran run with Hirooki Goto getting challenges from, of course, the veterans, but also from the young guys for 2025 would be a great and organic and also a new story to go with.
And the thing is, here's what really changed. If Okada was still in New Japan, that would be him winning that title right now.
Right, absolutely. I've actually thought that when Walker Stewart made the call that he is the leader of Chaos, and I thought exactly that with Okada being around, this probably would have not happened.
Exactly. So it's actually kind of a good thing. And I mean, this was a hugely successful show for a champion who had not been successful at all, like leading up to this show overall. So I think that shows that the fans really put it in for Goto. That they really believed. Maybe a lot of fans that had left New Japan came back. It's like, oh, Goto's getting a shot again.
Yeah.
He hasn't got it in 8 years or however many years it was. So maybe let's check this out. Maybe they felt like now could be a good time for him. The tour itself leading up to it, I don't know if you saw any of the shows leading up to it.
I did, yes. I watched the junior title match. That was very good, actually.
Oh, yeah, that was
Fujita challenging Desperado.
That was a fantastic match, in my opinion.
Like, absolutely fantastic main event.
Yeah, I love that match a lot. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of these tour shows, they weren't very successful, like in terms of any kind of attendance level. Like Korakuen, didn't they go under 1,000 for a couple of those shows?
They did for the Phantasmo and Cobb main event.
Yeah, and that shows you that's not a good sign for New Japan and Korakuen right now. To be fair, there's Korakuen's getting a lot. Well, it's always been very popular, of course, to run, but it's getting a lot of headway right now. Like the last couple of weeks, there's been big shows left and right in different companies there. But still, though, even with that said, things are not going well. The Dome show was an unmitigated failure in its entirety. Like, ultimately, like Wrestle Kingdom this year. And even Kadani said that publicly.
Yep.
And they have not been at a hot level for a long time now. So to see them do this big show, get this big attendance, have this emotional moment, have the crowd love it, was great. And also, just on a personal level, it was a reminder that, the emotion of it all and how they worked the match. I mean, I'm sure we'll get to the match briefly, but it was like, okay, this is proof that the right thing can happen. Because Goto should have been the champion 15 years ago, in all honesty. But they messed it up for all sorts of reasons. I remember his first title challenge against Tanahashi. Okay, that was cool. I remember when he won the G1, that came at a really bad time and an unlucky time for him. That was when Muto was the champion. And that obviously didn't play out at all like it should have. I mean, they did the challenge in All Japan. It was a mess. They just never really capitalized on him when he came back from his excursion to Mexico. Like, that was really when he was at his peak, in my opinion.
I feel the challenge that he had in 2011.
Yeah, Dominion 2011. That was the one that I totally agree. That's when he came back as a heel against Tanahashi.
Yeah,
and was like, all right, I've declared war on you. Like, we got to fight now. And that was such an amazing build up, and the match was incredible itself.
Yeah,
but they messed it up again. After that, I
has a 9.10 rating. Match. I've actually given it a 10 back then.
Well deserved. Yeah, I mean, that was a phenomenal match. That was like a match of the year, like 2011 match there. I also loved Hidaka versus Sakamoto that year. 2011 was a very instrumental year to my wrestling fandom, and just me as a wrestler as well at that time. But regardless, I personally never felt like he got back to that status after that match, because actually, funnily enough, the thing that everyone will point to, they actually posted this on New Japan's actual Twitter account before the show was his last title challenge.
Yes.
Against Okada. But actually, that angle was the exact same. I mean, it wasn't the same in terms of the face paint and all that they had him wear. But the same thing happened with that Tanahashi match, where he had come in hating Tanahashi as a heel, and they ended up shaking hands afterwards, and they cut his heel run off, like after like a month or two. And then the same thing happened with Okada, where he lost and then shook hands with him, and that really made him look so bad. And he's never really been able to get back to that. And thankfully, with Okada out of the way, Tanahashi's too old, Naito's too old, or he's not too old, he's just too broken down, really, more than anything. They've decided to go this way, and it shows you, again, it's kind of like that Shingo run. That Shingo title run had to have so much stuff happen and go wrong for it to fall into his hands.
Right.
And it's good because he deserved it. And that's the thing. But this was like 10 times even more than that. Like, he deserved it 15 years ago. And he's been through so much. Like Flash said, all of the memes and the fans like dissing him and saying he's a loser guy. And he's kind of like the poster child for like the
absolutely
of Japan. Like, all subsequent losers of Japanese wrestling were always compared to Goto. It doesn't matter what company you were from. If there's somebody who was never able to win the world title and got a bunch of shots at it, they would always point to Goto and say, this is the Goto of X. And now he finally did it in an absolutely phenomenal match, in my opinion. But even more so than that, the emotion of it all and the fans really rallying so much. He and this title story that they came up with, in my opinion, I don't know if you agree with this, String, I really felt like it carried through that whole show. Like, the crowd was more lively for this show than I've seen a New Japan crowd in a long time.
It's once again proof of that if you put something in front of people that they will organically love, that there is a great response from the crowd. And it's not that the crowds don't want to cheer for people. It's just they sometimes just not get presented what they actually want to cheer for. But here on this given day, they did. There was this groundswell throughout the show, like you said, and especially in the main event where the noise kept rising throughout the match. That was really great. I want to give one opinion, though, about the match. I thought it, not about the match itself, but of the booking before the match. I thought it was a mistake after Desperado's title defense that they announced that match for the anniversary show. That next junior title match with Desperado against Akira Francesco, because that basically telegraphed that there would be a title change.
Mm-hmm. Because
we wouldn't have that junior versus heavyweight championship match with Despi versus Zack.
Why not? Why not?
Because Despi is wrestling Akira Francesco at the anniversary show.
Yeah. Despi and Zack, or Despi and Goto. I feel like they could have done. In my opinion, they should have for historical sake. Obviously, what they had in mind was different, but I think they should have done it anyway. Like, they should still have done a junior and heavyweight title match, in my opinion.
That's told you that they are not doing that. So for me, that telegraphed that the title is changing on that show. But that didn't take away that this match was incredibly exciting. And those two went into this match exactly knowing what they had to do to get the crowd as much as possible behind Hirooki Goto. They, for a couple of times in this match, Hirooki Goto seemed like he was dead in the waters. There was the Zack driver very early in the match after Hirooki Goto himself had pulled out the Ushigoroshi very early in the match. And it seemed like that the match could be over very quickly, but he got out at 2. Then there was another instance where Zack Sabre had the European clutch in the middle of the ring, and it seemed like it would be all over. And of course, then I think the highlight of the match in many ways was that submission spot in the middle of the ring, where Hirooki Goto kept trying to get out of that. as much as possible, but Zack Sabre would always draw him back in. And even on commentary, on English commentary, Walker Stewart was just doing such a great job. And also, I want to say Clark Connors was also doing a great job on commentary this day.
Yeah, he really did a good job.
Very good job. And this moment in the match where Hirooki Goto got out of the submission, the response of the crowd was just so incredibly huge that there was no question that the right decision was made, that Hirooki Goto was winning the title. So from the emotional standpoint, I think this match has to be up there for, I don't know, if there is going to be anything this year that could rival this in points of an emotional attachment for a crowd and for a fan base that kept getting behind Goto more and more, basically starting last year with the New Japan Cup. And this emotional reaction, there was so many people online on Twitter this day saying how this match once again proved why pro wrestling is the best, because this damn sport that always gets us, that tends to get us angry so often, but also is there to bring us together in joy about a match like this, about a title change like this, and about a guy that is so incredibly lovable, like Hirooki Goto bringing his children into the ring. Man, pro wrestling can be great.
Yeah, I mean, it was the work itself, I just thought was excellent. I love how Goto, he really pulled Zack away from a lot of his tendencies that I think are not great in terms of a lot of his matches seeming like submission exhibitions sometimes. I thought Goto really pulled him out of that. And not just Goto himself, but also the way this match was laid out was so smart in that they didn't try to go, this long amount of time. They kept it within a 20-minute range, which is usually shorter than a lot of IWGP matches anyway, which is kind of an interesting note. But I love how Goto was able to really break him off from all of that, and really brought Zack into more of a focus on the arm. And I really appreciated that work. And when Zack was on that, I mean, he was really doing great stuff there, controlling the match, being a great, not really a heel per se, but that was kind of his role in terms of the layout, was to be on top and control the match.
Right. And Goto, but I also want to say that Zack Sabre also played a great role when it was for Goto to get out his great lariats.
Yeah.
I think 3 times in the match, Zack was right there to take the lariat as hard as possible. There was the moment after that soccer kick.
That he no-sold pretty much. It was awesome.
He was in the sleeper hold for 20 seconds. Then Zack dropped him, and I thought he might be catching the kick, but he did not. He caught the kick with his chest, basically. But then he no-sold, got back up, and had that incredible lariat, which once again got the crowd going. That was a great moment too.
Oh yeah, the crowd was going nuts over that. Then there's a part where Zack started to get a little cocky. He started to slap him around a little bit.
Yeah,
and then Goto hit him with a headbutt. It was so good. It was really good. So all of that was great, actually. So I thought Zack deserves a lot of credit, I would say, for being a great opponent for this style of match. And especially the pivotal moment where he had him in his submissions, with not the sleeper, but the one before that, where he got both of the arms and the leg, and whatever the Clarky Cat or whichever one of his weird names he has. But Goto's fire and emotion was like this man should be the champion. He is the one. You see the emotion he had, and he conveyed this desperation.
Yeah.
So great to where you could see okay, it's about to slip away again. And this might be the last time. I would have preferred that build-up be much more prevalent, actually, to the match. The build-up itself would be hey, this is it. This is going to be my last chance. I will never be in this position again. I had to win the Rambo to get here. I think they could have, and I think that's what people thought anyway. But I would have liked to have seen that hammered home a bit better online. But I guess that might have made it feel obvious that he might win if they did that as well. So you could kind of go either way with that. But that's what he conveyed in the match was hey, this is it. I'm about to blow it, and I won't get another chance after this. and that led him to getting to the ropes like in a crazy desperate struggle, and everybody popped for it. I was like on my feet standing up here. I just thought the match was excellently worked. Again, take out the emotional part of it, although that obviously plays a role in terms of how they work the match itself.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to say that.
I think that if you look at it just as a match itself, I thought that they did it about as great as you possibly could have. Like I can't imagine. I don't think there's anything I would have changed about this match.
No.
You know?
No.
I think it was legitimately a 5-star match, and I'm a pretty hard grader. There's been many years I've gone without giving a 5-star match to any match, but I think this was one of them where it's like literally I don't think I would have changed anything about it, and I think that they deserve credit for it. Again, I think all the focus will be on Goto, but I think Zach really redeemed his title reign after the Dome was what it was. And it showed you, okay, like, hey, this guy is such a great wrestler. Like, he didn't lose it, like some people were saying on that.
No, definitely not.
But this match also worked more towards his strengths as well, like whereas the Dome wasn't. So I think that helped a lot too here.
So we have a rating right now, as I just updated Cage Match as we are recording this, of 9.67, which is close to that what you just said.
Yep.
Very close to the
a lot of 10s.
A lot of 10s for that. And yes, let's just quickly look at Zach, like you said. What would you say? How would you rate his title run?
Well, from a match quality standpoint, I thought the Naito match was not as great as a lot of people said it was, to be honest. No. I think the Shingo match was also not that great, to be honest with you. I thought it was well worked. It was good. Like it was much better than the Naito match, for sure. But not something. We didn't get any votes for that on Match of the Year. let's put it that way in the awards, and nor should we have. I just don't think it was that special of a match. It was very good. The 3 3/4. 7 to 8 out of 10 level to me. The Dome match was. I think it was a little overhated on. But
yes,
when we talked about it, no, because we talked about this when you came back from Japan. Mm-hmm. When we talked about it, it was bad. Like it was very bad.
And if you would put this match in Korakuen or at a smaller scale big show that New Japan has, people would have probably rated this match 7 out of 10. Or 7.5 out of 10, I would say. But since it was the big main event of the biggest show of the year, I think there was an extra level of focus on it, how it would perform, and people were just not happy how it went.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that. But still, I mean, ultimately, it got a 6.65 rating. A lot of your points were right, though, that they had to, they ran out of ammo like halfway through the match and had to repeat stuff over and over. And it was bad. Like it wasn't a good match in my opinion. In hindsight, I mean, I didn't think it was good the first time. I just thought, okay, people were talking about it like it was this horrible match. I thought, okay, it was like below average. But in hindsight, I think it was a little lower than I kind of came across. I think it was pretty bad. The Ricochet match.
I mean, I wouldn't have given it a 7. I'm just assuming what people would have done.
Yeah, you're probably right.
For me, this was a very, like you said, very below average, 4 or 5 out of 10.
Yeah, that's about where I would have it probably. Like I wouldn't say it was horrible still, but it wasn't good either. Or it wasn't even average. It was well below average. The Ricochet match again. It was good, but it wasn't anything that really wowed me, to be honest. I don't know how you felt about the Ricochet match, but
I had no emotional attachment to it whatsoever.
And that's another problem too, is that it was really a random match against a guy who wasn't even that hot. Like he had just started. Ricochet's doing great stuff right now as his heel run, but at the time he was just kind of like this mid-card guy. And it's hard to not go into that match and just think, okay, this is the guy AEW would let lose in the main event. Like, they wouldn't put any of their big stars because you'd have to win, So overall title reign, I mean, this ending was fantastic. Like it was a picture perfect ending.
Yeah.
But the reign leading up to it, Oh, don't match! I forgot about the Sonata match at freaking England.
I liked it live.
Yeah. I mean, the crowd was so like up their own ass in that match that I didn't.
It sometimes happens in England. Yeah.
I mean, listen. Everyone's at a wrestling show. Everyone is fully entitled to do crazy stuff and hijack matches if they want. But just for me, I didn't think it was that good. And the thing is, Sonata was like, a lame duck challenger if there ever was one. So there definitely wasn't any hype towards that. So again, I mean, they gave him 4 defenses, which ties the record actually. Believe it or not, for this version of the title. I just didn't think it was that good of a run, if we're being really honest.
Yeah, overall, if you look at the individual parts, it probably was not.
And I mean, it's hard to deny ultimately too. If this run had taken place from February of last year to October, like if it had gone from New Beginning to King of Pro Wrestling, it would probably be okay. Mm-hmm. I think blowing the dome so bad really puts a black mark on it.
Absolutely, yeah. That's something that no title match could have corrected. Even this great one with Hirooki Goto, even this great end to the title run, can't correct how the Tokyo Dome went.
Yeah.
And that's it's sad for Zack Sabre Jr., but that's where we are right now.
I mean, it was a good attempt. Like they wanted to give him reward for being so loyal to the company
and give him
a chance to be.
That's good. And people have been rallying behind him. And I was very happy when he won the title in the first place from Naito. Something that I wouldn't have thought would have been possible either. Actually, when it happened.
True. You're right about that.
But it's something that I've said all the time. With this new title, they've been more open to having new guys win the title that have not been in the circulation with the old IWGP title when Okada was still around. Was of course the guy on top of that. We've had, of course, Jay White has also won the old title, but we've had Sanada. We've had Zack Sabre now, and we've had Hirooki Goto, also Shingo Takagi, Will Ospreay. So they have been more open to opening this title up to a brighter field of champions.
That's true. And again, like, things had to go certain places to get to some of these guys, but that doesn't change that it didn't happen at the end of the day. And I think with Sanada and Zack, they had great intentions, like for them. Like they wanted them to step up and be top stars. It just didn't work for whatever reason in both cases. Goto, it remains to be seen. Like now that he's champion, I have to say, like what they're doing is cool, but it does kind of give me the vibes that okay, this is not a long term. Like they've already kind of plotted out that this won't be a big thing overall.
So what do you think where this is going?
I think he'll face the old guys and then drop the title to whoever won New Japan Cup. Like,
and who do you think that is?
I think Finley's the best prospect, but you could go a couple of different ways. Like, I just with Tsuji, they've already given him the title. Although we'll talk about his match on here, they went in a weird direction there too, and that was such a bad booking. Like in my opinion, like that whole match with Tsuji.
They should have done the match. Yeah,
exactly. They shouldn't have even done it in the first place. But it came across very weird. Kid needs to win something first before we talk about him winning titles. Like he doesn't win anything. Like, and I love his performances, but what has he won in New Japan except for that janky strong title that nobody cares about?
Let's keep it with the Goto for the time being here. I would actually love to see him get a run until Dominion.
That's possible.
And I don't think that's impossible, right? Yeah. So if they do, so after the main event, he said that he wanted to face Tanahashi, and that may be announced tomorrow when we get to the New Japan side. But as of right now, we know that he wants to face Tanahashi, but Yuji Nagata also came out. So that could mean that he faces Tanahashi at the anniversary, which would, of course, make the most sense since Tanahashi has been the guy that he faced 3 times in unsuccessful title challenges, and also the guy he faced for the first time for the title, for the old IWGP Heavyweight title, that is. And it's probably going to be Tanahashi's last title challenge, and the anniversary makes sense to do that. Then the New Japan Cup would be happening, right?
Right.
So where does Nagata fit into that all?
That's an interesting point.
Does he have to win the New Japan Cup?
He might. Well, I just think he can challenge at the final show. Give the New Japan Cup final a boost. And let the challenger win it at Sakura Genesis.
I usually don't do that.
That's true. What they usually don't give the belt to Goto.
That's an argument for everything right now.
Yeah, exactly. They're doing a lot of stuff that they don't usually do. I mean, like I said, if it were me, I would have had it be Goto versus Despy in the anniversary show. I just let them do the traditional match, and then had Tanahashi challenge at Sakura Genesis, and then the cup winner can challenge at Dontaku.
I was just going to say, so how about this? Goto defends against Tanahashi. He also defends against the New Japan Cup winner, and then he goes against Nagata for Dontaku.
That's true. They didn't even say, like, he basically said, okay, me and Tanahashi, let's go with the anniversary show. And then Nagata came out, and he was like, I'll face you when the time is right. Like, it's not like he said, I will for sure face you at this date.
Exactly.
Like, so they left the door open for that. But, I mean, I would love it if they gave him a run. Like, don't get me wrong. I would absolutely love that. And there really aren't a lot of great options at this point.
No.
To be honest. I think that's kind of the argument for this continuing, is that they don't have it. It's like him winning is the whole argument for that. Like, they didn't have a choice. It's not like they wanted him. If they wanted this, they could have done it 15 years ago, and it would have been amazing then. And he could have been the top star. Like, everybody knew that. He was always great. Like, his talent level and his overness and all of that has never been in question. It's that they have screwed up so many times. And so, but now they are just happen to be backed into a corner where they needed this to happen, pretty much. And maybe that will continue. Like, they don't have anybody in the cup that they could go for, and then say, look, let's go for another young guy, Yuya or somebody like that. We'll talk more about him in a little bit. Oiwa maybe is another young guy that you could kind of drag out.
Same as for Kid, he needs to win something very quickly.
All these guys, all of these people are true for.
Yeah.
So I think we'll see that here, and maybe if it is a player like that, like a Kid or Uemura, that could be what he wins. So him losing won't be that bad, like him, kind of like Tsuji last year, like that. Although you could argue he could have won the title last year. You could argue he'd won the title the year before against Sonata when he came back. And we did say that. Hey,
yes. Yes. So I would love to see more of a run. I think that's possible. Goto and Kid at Dontaku. That sounds like a match that I would do.
Yeah, and then have Kid. Yeah, the thing is, the funny part about all this, would they? And this is why I think they'll do it at the Cup final, like Goto and Nagata.
Mm-hmm.
Would they really main event a big show with Nagata at this point?
That's the one thing that I also thought about when I said Dontaku.
Yeah,
I mean,
so that means Nagata would have to challenge at Genesis.
At Genesis.
The Sakura Genesis.
Yeah, but that's the New Japan Cup winner getting the title shot.
So that would be Kid.
Maybe.
So Kid would have to win at Genesis or challenge at Sakura Genesis.
Yeah, if he wins the Cup. But if Finlay wins the Cup, it's Finlay and Goto.
Then when does Nagata challenge?
That's the thing.
yeah. So let's just, for argument's sake, we'll pencil him into Cup final challenger.
Okay.
Or what if they did it in America? They have a show in Chicago.
Oh yeah.
On WrestleMania weekend.
Yeah.
Maybe Nagata's last America. Why not? I think that could work. I think people would be excited to see Goto in America. He's not a guy that's really ventured to the U.S. that much, to be honest.
No.
But
wouldn't Tanahashi be more valuable as a challenger in the U.S.?
You would think so, but maybe they want this anniversary show to be a big. To be honest with you, this is another reason why I would have done Despy.
Yeah,
I think Tanahashi would be a great challenger for any big show, like even a Dominion level. His last ever title match, that's a money match, in my opinion. That's not a small time match. I get that he's old and he won't win, but if you hype it as this is his last chance to ever win the IWGP title, because he's not won this version of the belt, like his last chance ever, to me, that's you could sell out a huge show with that, in my opinion.
Mm.
And if you do it at the anniversary show, I feel like you're leaving it on the table, like leaving something on the table. But I mean, I also felt that way about him announcing he was retiring at the Wrestle Kingdom. I thought they should have done the retirement zone show as well. So, do they not have faith in Tanahashi to be a big show draw? Like, what the fuck, type of deal.
Mm. That's a good question, actually. And I mean, Ottawa is not such a big building.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. It seems like a waste to do it there.
Yeah. That feels like, I mean, the heavyweight champion versus junior champion has always been a good main event for a building like that, and Goto and Despy sounds like a match that would get a good crowd for that if you put something behind it as well, below that as well.
I mean, it doesn't always draw that great. I mean, the Despy and Okada match was a really big bomb.
Yeah, that's right.
When they did it, and so it's really because of how poorly they treated the junior title over the years to make it irrelevant. And they continue to do that right now by not even deeming it worthy to main event the show.
Mm.
By the way, one more thing on Despy, that title match you mentioned with him and Kosei is like a must-watch match in my opinion. That was one of the best. Like, I thought that was as good as anything on any of the Dome shows. Like, to me. Like, I thought it was a great match. Mm-hmm. I don't think it was as good as this Goto and Zack match, but I thought it was a fantastic display of technical wrestling.
I guess I would. I think it's an 8 out of 10 match, I would say.
I would give it like a 9.5 type of level, if you could. I thought it was a fantastic match, but I did. Well, we'll talk about the junior title on this show, but that definitely wasn't an 8 or a 9.
It's a great match to watch if you have not seen that.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great match, 8 or 9. It's still well worth watching, and then we'll see where they go with Goto in the title. I really hope that they have a plan for this, but I just feel like, to me, when I hear Nagata's challenge for the title, that makes me feel like we don't have faith in this being like we don't see you as the true guy right now. Like, and we're just getting through this as a stunt, pretty much. And maybe I'll be wrong.
But like you said, if you look up and down the roster, who realistically is there that right now could challenge Hirooki Goto, except for, of course, Hiroshi Tanahashi? I mean, you could go with Sanada. You could go with Great Okan. That you could go with, but they turned to Yuji Nagata because they don't think that there is anyone else ready.
Well, they're right. to go with Nagata over them. Two.
Yeah.
But somebody's gonna have to win this cup that they're gonna build up.
That's right. And if you go to the global title match, the idea, obviously, of this match was that Yotsuji and Gabe Kidd fight against each other and elevate each other throughout this match because of the work that they did inside the match. And what Gabe Kidd said before the match in this great promo that they uploaded on New Japan's YouTube over the weekend, that it's really him, Yota Tsuji, and Yuya Uemura who are the 3 guys that they should actually focus on. And the idea of this match was that, I mean, we criticized it from the get-go because had one of those guys won the match, the other would have looked bad in doing so. But I don't think that the actual finish was actually much better than that.
No, yeah, you totally agree.
And the crowd reaction was very flat for that as well. Nobody was happy with that, I think.
The match finish that no one liked. What was this? I agree. I literally agree with all of that. I have to say, I'm a little surprised at the cage match ratings here. I'm not trying to criticize anybody.
I mean,
but
there has been a lot that those people that like Gabe Kidd have been liking a lot. And I can see that he's throwing in his weight a lot. He's throwing in his body a lot. He's just this very captivating guy. But once again, he did one of those things that you don't like, that I don't like. Once again, in the middle of the match, I'm a madman.
Yeah.
I mean, we see that you're a fucking madman, man.
Yes. Yeah, you tell us 50 times every match. Yeah. Yeah. I hate that.
So
yeah.
I like the parts where they actually like really went into the ring and just punched themselves, chopped themselves. That was great. And the part about the match that I liked the most was something that Gabe Kidd said about the match that he had with Kenny Omega. He wanted to win against Kenny Omega with tactics that he learned in the New Japan Dojo, which of course then led to this octopus hold, the Manjigatame that he did against Kenny Omega. And in the middle of the match, we had Gabe Kidd. He was trapped in a Boston Crab by Yoratsuji, which is of course the rookie finisher, the young lion finisher. And that is a part of the match that I really like when they went back to the basics. And it was also basically the basics that ended the match. It was it a lariat from Kidd and a spear from Tsuji, or what was it from Kidd?
The Gene Blaster.
Yes, the Gene Blaster. I'm very sorry.
Yes, of course. Call it the right move. Far different from the spear. But
it wasn't any complicated moves, not anything convoluted that we've seen with guys that have been in New Japan prior to that. It was just very down to earth New Japan moves that ended the match. So I think in a way the match has been effective to elevate those two to a position where they actually earned themselves this position that they have been in. But the question is, where do both go from here? Does Tsuji hold on to this secondary title, or does he get to the next level? Does Gabe Kidd beat Tsuji in the New Japan Cup? Does he win the secondary title first, or does he go on to challenge for the world title next?
I just think that this whole booking was so weird, to be honest. But like you said, it didn't really work, even though, like, on paper, it's a good finish. I just don't think it worked. How they did it. I don't think the crowd took to it very well. And it feels like kind of a cop-out. Like, the more we talk about it. Where they go from here, again, that's the thing. If you asked me who are the guys that are closest to being ready, these two would be who I think they're a level above everyone else. That would be.
I think Yuya would be there if he hadn't had that long layoff.
I think I go back to what I said in the G1, that I like his wrestling. I think him as a character and the entire presentation of him is very weak. But he did have a little bit of a new look that he came back here.
I thought he looked much bigger.
Yeah. I think he'll get there, but to me, Tsuji and Kidd are like significantly ahead of him, in my opinion. The problem is Kidd never wins anything overall. Yes. He still has not done that. Tsuji got his belt and then immediately did not win in defense either. So you're in a weird part now where either of these guys are winning.
Not a good first defense, that's right, actually. Yeah. Well, actually, Dylan is his second defense, and his first defense was much worse.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was much worse. So yeah,
it's not a good run so far.
Yeah, this isn't great either.
If you just look at the finishes and the matches, it's not a good run.
I just don't get why they're doing this. Like, to me, he's clearly the one that they should be pushing.
I think the idea is that this guy is so over and so popular they can get away with it.
Maybe. Besides this show with Goto challenging, that hasn't really been true so far. I mean, it definitely didn't work for the Dome, but who's to say? Like, if it had been him against Zach in the Dome, who knows what would have happened, if it would have made a difference or not. I feel like it could have, but I don't know. Overall, it just feels like one of these guys should win the cup, but they still have a bit to go to get the title. Not anything wrong with their skills or anything like that, but just their booking more than anything. Because I think Kidd's a great wrestler when he's not doing that annoying in-ring promo stuff. I think he's a great wrestler when he wants to actually get to it. Tsuji, I think, is getting closer. The only thing he was missing was he at that top tier level wrestling wise? And I think he's getting there. Like, like we're seeing in this match, I thought the Finley match was the best match on the Wrestle Kingdom show that he had. I think he's really there in all but booking. Again, like, 'cause he's got the charisma. He's got the look. He carries himself just like a true champion. And he's just a unique guy. And I think that he's a great person to hold the title. But then comes the question of, should you wait for his coronation to be at Wrestle Kingdom? Like, should he win the cup, or should he lose this belt, win the G1, and then go for the title at the Dome? Which, to me, I think would be the smarter play overall.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Kid winning the cup and losing to Goto would be a very strong solidification of him at the spot we want him to be at and think he should be at. But he isn't there yet because he hasn't won anything. As I said, you would give him a cup to solidify him, similar to Tsuji last year, and perhaps he will be a top contender. If this was the G1 final this year, would it surprise you?
Kid and Tsuji?
Yeah.
No. I think that's the rivalry for this year. Yeah,
I agree. And maybe Kid could be the one to win the title off him, like later on, like down the line.
Yeah, like I said, why not? Yeah. There's possibilities with these two, definitely. Let's look at the other singles matches first to get a glimpse of what is.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about the tag match either. So it's fine.
In the singles division here. What do you think about Takeshita and Oleg Boltin?
See, this is the match that should have gotten the rating that the other one. Like this was a phenomenal match. Like I would say, like 4 3/4.
This was so much better than Tsuji and Kid.
Yeah, this was like a match of the year level match in and of itself. If it wasn't for the main event, I thought this was Takeshita's best match in Japan since he's been at AEW. I think. And see, in my dream world, Boltin would be the next champion. Like he would win the New Japan Cup because I think he's got everything it takes, and he's got a very like. The thing is with Kid, he's this loud, rambunctious character. Boltin feels like he's made for Japanese pro wrestling specifically. Like, he feels like a guy that wouldn't be out of place if he were fighting the Four Pillars, in All Japan.
Oh, yeah. Yes. He would be perfect in early 90s All Japan.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he could have been a top star in any decade, including the one we're in right now. And I think he feels like a guy that could really be the top guy if they wanted him to be. And to be fair, they've really, if you compare his run to a lot of these other guys, like Kid, for example, was a young lion forever. Like he had a normal young lion ride. Boltin was winning titles like pretty early on. Like he was still eligible for Rookie of the Year like this past year. He was winning titles in the G1, getting big title matches, having excellent matches. I thought this was among the best. If it, like matches of this length, it was just past 10 minutes. I thought this was among the best versions of this length of match. I thought Takeshita, we all know what Takeshita is about, but I think Oleg is just at an elite tier in the ring, and he's everything I want out of a pro wrestler. Me personally, as a fan, I would like to see him be the one that they really get behind and elevate. As much as I love Kid, I think Boltin is more up my alley in style, and I would love to see him be a main event level player if they could get behind him. I mean, there's not a sign of that yet, but I think
not yet. But I don't think it's going to be much longer actually.
Yeah,
I think he's going to have quite the run in the New Japan Cup. I'm guessing that he will make it at least to the quarterfinals.
Yeah,
and maybe he could be next up for the Never title. Who knows? Next up is Oiwa challenging, and hadn't he challenged a couple of months ago for the title? Yeah. He challenged Goto.
It's Cobb.
Not Goto. Shingo Takagi actually.
Oh, Shingo. Okay. No,
yeah. Yep. On October 14 last year, just at King of Pro Wrestling. It was his first title match actually. Yeah, and Oiwa's. This is actually the tale of those people, right? Of those wrestlers. Oiwa has not won anything.
And that's the thing. Yeah, with all of these guys.
And I've said it. Yuya could be there. I mean, Oiwa. I overlook Oiwa now because they just have not done anything with him after his great comeback. And last year we said it, that Oiwa, from the wrestling standpoint, is the best of all of those.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But they don't do anything. Why?
I think him being put in Team DK was a mistake in hindsight.
I think so too.
Putting him below Zach right away, I think really kind of clamped him. He was slotted then. Like, he was fighting for the Never title, secondary guy. Like, he should have led a group or like just been a part of, Home Army.
I mean, he didn't even have a match on this card.
I know. And that's why you forgot
challenger.
Yeah, that's why you always forget about him, because they fumbled him so bad and don't do anything with him. But he's a talented guy. I think the look is good. I wouldn't say he comes across like a superstar to me, but he's a really talented wrestler. And I think he's a guy that would be valuable to have. But we'll see. Like, we'll see what he does. I think Takeshita is like their secret sauce right now in New Japan. If they need to make somebody look like a superstar, put him against Takeshita.
Yes. And
he'll look like a legendary player. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think Oiwa, when he faces Takeshita, that's going to be a match so great that everyone says, oh my God, how have they, like, why isn't Oiwa a top star?
Right.
And he wasn't even on the show, like you said. So I think that's what Takeshita's role is in New Japan right now. And I think it's a freaking great and really smart role for him to have, because we saw it here against Oleg. Like, he looked like a dude, and he's not even 2 years into his career. Imagine. Okay, let's. I'm not saying this will happen, but fantasy book. Let's say Oleg Boltin wins the cup and challenges Goto.
Oh,
do you not want to see that match?
I love it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, everybody would be buzzing over that.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing will happen with Oiwa, though, is kind of my point. I think when he faces Takeshita, he will look like a star, and maybe if they do want to elevate him and see him above Uemura or whoever they see, maybe this will be their stepping stone point for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this match was so damn good. This Oleg Boltin match.
Yes. There was so much fire in it. That superplex spot was great.
It was so freaking good. Like, this is wrestling. Like, this is my wrestling, STRIGGA. Like, Oleg Boltin to Takeshita. Love them.
Two more singles matches on that show that probably weren't as much hero wrestling. With Taichi and Sanada.
There's 3 more.
Yes. I mean, I want to say that Tanahashi and Togi Makabe, they did their best.
Oh, 4 more. I didn't even mention that.
Yes. I was just actually going to go for Taichi and Sanada and Great Khan and Shiro Amunyo. But okay. Tanahashi and Togi Makabe, I think they did their best. Togi Makabe took some bumps. He even did the King Kong knee drop from the top and didn't hit Tanahashi with it. So he really did stuff for Tanahashi that he doesn't do for a lot of people, actually. Yeah. So it was a fine match. Most guys are old. Tanahashi can't do the leg roll clutch anymore. Yeah,
it was a nothing match that was a feel-good moment for them. Yeah. The real-life best friends fighting each other one more time.
Now, obviously they had the debut match against one another, Tanahashi's debut match against one another. Yeah. That's the story here that they told. It was good. It was good for what it was supposed to be, but yeah. Taichi and Sanada, just storyline stuff. Not too much of a fan of that match.
What about the entrance attire Sanada had on?
I want to say, as a heel, that was perfect.
It was good. Like you said, for a heel, it was good. I mean, it looks ridiculous, but for him,
it was totally
good.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, but nothing match.
I actually love the just 4 guys shirt that he has. That spoof shirt that he does.
Yes, it's very good.
Yeah. Shingo Takagi and Drilla Maloney. I thought they had a nice match. I want to say it was a lesser version of the Takeshita and Boltin match.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it.
They also went all out there, but not in that high level of a way.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. Like you said. I mean, what do you think of Drilla? Yeah, what do you think of... Yes, it's just Drilla Maloney, of course. That's what he does. But no, what do you think about him going heavyweight?
I think it's a good way for him. I think he has been a heavyweight before he came to New Japan Pro Wrestling, and then they've always said that he was what did they say, too big for the juniors and too small for the heavyweights. But I actually never bought that. And they put him against the perfect opponent for that, because Shingo Takagi also came into New Japan Pro Wrestling as a junior, and I never bought that either. He never was a junior. I mean, Drilla, I think he would go through as a junior, but after we had Zack Sabre Jr. as the heavyweight champion, you might as well have Drilla Maloney as the heavyweight in this company. So why not? And he's a guy that is fairly new to the company. You can have lots of new matches in the Never division with him. So I think that's a good way to go.
Yeah, I totally agree. It helps his career prospects being a heavyweight, I would say. If he can find a way to stand out, like he has a room, like there's room for a top guy. I just don't think he has what it takes. Ultimately,
not a top guy.
Yeah, like you said, this is a good role for him. Like third match on the card, like have an undercard, hard hitting type of match. Like he could do that well enough. But like you said, I mean, if you compare it to the other match, like that's when the holes start to become apparent when you compare it to the other. But if you just look at this on its own, it was pretty good. Like nothing wrong with it at all.
Wonder where that leaves Clark Connors now.
Yeah, that's kind of bad.
He's been kind of talking about going for the junior title on the commentary. Yeah, I think he's going to be slotted as a junior.
Yeah, he's another one. I mean, if they wanted, they could push him because he's kind of a power junior already, right? But I mean, how much room is there for new people in the heavyweight? Somebody's got to be in this damn junior division, people.
Yes. They've also talked about Hiromu Takahashi now being a heavyweight with him winning the tag title. Yeah. Quickly about the tag titles before we go to Shota Umino. Okay. I thought that Kosei Fujita and Robbie Eagles against Rocky Romero and Yo was a nice match. It was all about Kosei Fujita getting another win. They succeeded in doing that, but otherwise it was a match.
I hate it because Fujita is especially in the singles match we saw, but even this match, he's a star player in this division. He shouldn't be messing around with Romero and Yo, in my opinion. Like they need to do better with these tag titles, in my opinion. Like this was not up to snuff, in my opinion, when you compare it to the singles match that Fujita and Despy had.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but I mean, it was like a filler match ultimately. Like you put this team that wasn't going to win just to have an acceptable undercard match, and it was fine. Like I mean, what you said was right.
I'm so confused about the Young Bucks title run.
Oh, total waste of time. Like, what was the point of this at all?
Was it the point of that just to find an explanation for the Young Bucks to not be on AEW television?
Yes, that's exactly.
I think it is, and they haven't even been around.
They didn't need this title to do that. They could have easily had, they could have just had Hiromu and Naito win at the Dome, and then do a rematch, like have them pin Okan or whatever, and then have this match as a rematch, and it would have been fine. I was
stunned when I saw the result from the Dome title match.
Yeah, you didn't go to that show. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't that surprised because it's the Bucks that I figured they would pull some political crap to get it.
Yeah,
I will say this.
They probably did, but the crowd reaction to their title win and to them in this match was below zero.
I was just about to mention that. It's like this crowd was hot all night long until they came out. I mean, they are what they are, and they proved their critics right, like pretty consistently. Like I would say over the last few years. And they just, I don't think they're any loss for New Japan. Let's put it that way.
No. Yeah, title is with Takahashi and Naito now. It's
smart.
Best thing that you can do with Naito.
Yeah, this gives you an acceptable avenue to move Hiromu up. Naito, this is the best possible thing you could do with him. Like you can utilize his star power while not having him wrestle. Yeah, I did like how one of the reviews on Cage Match was like, well, he only botched one Destino, a new record. Oh man, he's just watching him is bad. But now Hiromu can do the wrestling for him, and he can use his great star power. I mean, you can main event shows with these tag titles now, in my opinion. Like,
yes, you can.
Yeah. And that's what this gives you
And
to
even,
do. Like,
hey, even if you have a not so big IWGP heavyweight title match, for example, with Goto and Nagata, you could always put a tag team title below that with Naito.
Yeah.
In the semi-main.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, put a big team against them and let that be the semi-main. Absolutely. And I think it helps Hiromu just being in with Naito and the star power as well. Wrestling wise, I don't have high hopes for this reign, but I think star power wise, it's good. Like, it's very smart to do it this way.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, then of course there's been that storyline. Of course, after the Tsuji and Kid match, before we go to Shota Umino, Evil returned. And he laid out Tsuji first, and he said that the House of Torture doesn't consider the War Dogs part of Bullet Club anymore. And
of course not.
Of course.
We all saw this coming.
Yeah. Finally, we have the civil war we've always wanted for the Bullet Club, Dylan.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure it'll come back where the War Dogs are the real Bullet Club, and the House of Torture's out.
Bullet Club name on the pole match.
Yeah, yeah. Fight for the name, the naming.
Bring back the cage.
To be honest, I mean, let's face it. That name and merchandising rights might be more valuable than any title for any of these people involved in this feud.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, obviously, this doesn't move me very much. And what was the point of
do you think they will call themselves the Torture Club if they win the rights?
That's true. But what was the point of the evil thing that they did? Whereas, like, he's gone.
I have no idea.
Removed his profile. Why? Why? To what end? Why? You could have just done this normal. Like what they did. He could have done exactly what he did without any of this nonsense.
Yes.
I think this could have worked better if he had been gone for like 5 months. Like if they had done this angle at Dominion.
Yeah, they
kind
of portrayed him as being in between those three groups with Tsuji, War Dogs, and the House of Torture, but he was only gone for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if this had been at Dominion and they did this angle, I think there could have been some good heat to it.
Yeah.
But as it was, it just felt like, okay, this whole deal was pointless.
And like nobody bought it anyways.
Yeah, nobody believed it. I mean, when I told you, you were like, it's nothing. And I mean, you were right. Like you were totally right. Like, that's why we didn't talk about it that much, because it was a waste of it was an even bigger nothing than I thought it was. It was really bad. But yeah.
Yes. So yeah, Great Khan and Shota Umino, they sure had a match.
Let me tell you something, Strigga. Out of every match that's happened in New Japan, this was one of them.
Yeah, and they did a storyline. Great Khan beat Shota Umino. Shota Umino was booed throughout the match. Whatever he did, he was booed. They kind of once again went in the direction that he was more working as a heel against Great Khan. But he was booed all the time in this match. After the match, though, they had Great Khan, who was trying to cut Shota Umino's hair, but Shota took the clippers from him and shaved his head himself. And when he did that, the crowd response started changing a bit. The boos, they stopped. The reactions, they weren't great, but there were people that you could hear that were chanting his name. And I think this was the best thing that they could have done. Just have him completely rebuild himself. Tabula rasa. Complete rebuild for Shota Umino. Give him black pants once again. Black trunks, back to the black trunks as a rookie. Have him wrestle the Young Lions, have him wrestle Murashima, have him wrestle Nagai, have him wrestle all these guys, Masatora Yasuda. He has to go back to square one to finally find what it is that Shota Umino is all about.
Yeah, well, very well said. And I think that there is a part of this. I don't know if you agree with this.
You know what? Before you go on, and what I fear, Dylan, is that they will still put him in the New Japan Cup. And he will win the first round of the cup and then lose in the second round, and nothing ever changes.
Yeah, that would be the worst.
That they might do it.
You're right. I mean, that's a very legitimate possibility. But I hope that there's a greater plan. I don't know if you agree with this or not. It feels to me like the fans are kind of like, this feels like something they're leaning into, like this boo stuff. Like they're a part of the story now, kind of deal.
Yeah.
And I mean that kind of proves that what you just said about the angle afterward kind of proves that that's true. Like that they actually like him, but they're booing him to be a part of whatever. Like they're doing here. Yeah, I think it's great. I totally agree with you. This was absolutely the right call. This is what Noah should do with Kaito, in my opinion.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, like this exact same deal. Like you said, clean slate, tabula rasa. Very fancy way of saying it, but still, start over fresh. Let's go and see what he can be, and you can mold him into something else that can get the reaction that he wants and you want as a company. I thought it was a perfect angle, and I mean the match was nothing. I still don't love him as a performer overall, but I hope that with this, they, like you said, if they did what you said you were worried about, then that really undercuts a lot of this. So we'll have to wait and see. But first initial judgment is good on this for sure.
Yes. Yeah. Only match we have not touched on was the actual opener, the kickoff match. It was a fine match with Despi and Katsuya Murashima actually beating Francesco Akira, losing to Francesco Akira and Jeff Cobb. I'm sorry. Akira pinned Desperado directly, setting up the title match for the anniversary. Yeah, good way. Yeah, it was a very good show.
Yeah, great show. Just like last year's New Beginning that we talked about.
Yeah, it's a pattern.
Well, like I said, like I told you in the DMs, if they follow this up like they did last year, then we're going to have a big problem because they, as I remember it, they took the title off of Finlay like 2 weeks later, and they did a lame rematch with Sonata Naito. Right. So yes, hopefully they have a better plan.
I feel like that's not bound to happen. Last year they brought in Riddle and
Nemeth.
I always forget his name. I don't know why. I always want to say Ziggler. Dolph. And those were just they didn't fit at all.
No, those were some misses for sure.
And the roster they have now, even though there are those criticisms that we have that there are guys that just don't win a lot, I feel like there is potential there to have a successful year with those guys. Tsuji, Gabe Kidd, Yuya Uemura. By the way, he did the save for Tsuji for Gabe Kidd and Tsuji after the House of Torture attacked them. He's there. Julia Maloney is getting his opportunity. Shota Umino is getting the revamp. There is always Taichi and Zanada in the mid card. Tanahashi is having his last run. Takeshita is there. Bolton is there. There's lots of things that you can attach yourself to.
Absolutely, and I think this is one of the most interesting periods of New Japan overall because it feels
there's not
like
that clear top guy, and there's prospects, but who's going to be the one?
And it feels like it could go a lot of different ways as well. Like all of those guys you named have potential to be the next champion if things go their way or they latch on to somebody themselves. So I think it was a great show. The ending is like an all-time classic New Japan moment.
Yeah.
Like in a lot of ways, this feels like we got from Naito winning the belt to this moment, and it's like nothing else in between happened. Like almost. This felt like a continuation of before 2020 times, more so than a continuation of last month, almost. And hopefully, and I just think the match, again, the match quality of the main event was like to me so strong. And Bolton and Takeshita, again, that would have been a match of the year level match to me if it weren't for the main event. And the Kid match was great with Tsuji, and some people thought it was like really great. So clearly, with those three matches, they really carried things. The other matches were not. There's a lot of work to be done otherwise. But if they had Fujita and Despi on the show, this would have been like an all-time.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Yeah. So, but lots of great things to be interested in. And as a fan, I'm so happy to see Goto get the belt. It feels like a wrong that needed to be righted, and we had feared that it never would be.
Yes.
And it finally happened. And like I said, it was kind of like a real human moment with the kids coming into the ring, taking their shoes off before entering the ring.
Good.
It was like a really human, emotional moment that you don't get a
He
lot
was
of.
talking about his dead dad.
Yeah.
Just
I
it's
really,
just stuff you can't write. I mean, you can, but it will never come across as organic as this moment came across.
I really wish that we could have seen something like this sooner, but I'm really glad that it happened now. Like it was deserved.
Yeah, at least it did.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm excited to see where this title reign goes. I mean, I'm super hyped for Tanahashi getting the title shot. I think that match will be great. Maybe I'm crazy because obviously Tanahashi's not in the business of having great matches a lot anymore. But I think him and Goto are going to go out there and just totally tear the house down. It's going to be the best we've seen of Tanahashi in years. And Nagata, I think, will be a fantastic match as well. And any of these names who win the New Japan Cup, provided it's not evil or something like that, which you can never completely write off, I think them and Goto can have another exceptional match as well. So very excited about the title, very excited about the company. Can't wait to see how it all shakes out.
Yes. So we had this very great rated match on top of the New Japan show. And then Dylan, you wanted to talk about a match that has also gotten a great rating out of nowhere. It seems because the meme always has been that Dave Meltzer doesn't give 5 stars to a women's wrestling match. But now he has. And he has given that 5 stars to the Artist of Stardom title match that happened at the 14th anniversary Supreme Fight 2025 in Kirkenhall. That had this great crowd, 1,014 fans in Kirkenhall, sold out Kirkenhall. Even the standing room, I think, was sold out.
Yep, there was.
Much like with the Giant Baba show that happened a couple of weeks before that.
Yep.
So we had this 6-man tag title match in the semi-main of that show, and also Saya Kamitani defended the title against Suzuki in the main event of that. That got 4.5 stars from Dave Meltzer, 8.67 for cage match, and the 6-woman tag title match was rated 8.95. What did you want to say about this one?
I thought the show was a great show, up and down. Early on in the undercard, you had Koguma and Ronnie Yagami, and one of the best comedy matches of the year. Special thanks to Shuri on the outside with her amazing reaction to the finish, which was awesome. It's got a 7.09 rating. Very fair for like a really good undercard feud and match. Then you got to the artist match in the semi-main, and I thought that it got a 5-star rating, and I was really confused by it. Because at no point did I think this match was a 5-star match watching it. We've seen artist matches as good or better than this in the past. Along with it, perennial amount of trios matches and 6-man tags. I mean, you look at Dragon Gate, they had a lot of triangle matches that were on this level. I thought it was good, though. It was a great crowning moment for Miyu and Masaki. I will give you that. Like I give them a lot of credit for that. And making this group with Miyu, Azumi, and Starlight Kid feel like a big deal. Starlight like bragged to Poi about taking both of her titles. That's a great feud that they're still continuing on. It was a really, really good match, like an 8 out of 10 level match. But 5, I mean, it's got an 8.95 rating, so some people thought it was a little better. But 5, I thought out of all the matches that has not gotten 5. I mean, the Hazuki and Mercedes Monet match didn't get 5. No sorry singles match has gotten a 5-star match. I mean, what's up, man? Like, what's up, Dave? What is this? I don't get it. I actually thought the main event was a better match, personally. Like Tulsaya versus Suzu. I thought that was a great match. The stuff. It depends on how much you know. Maybe you'll get annoyed by it because there was a spot in the match. I'll spoil it a little bit, where Kamatani got in the ring and sat on her throne, which is like one of her big spots. She puts the chair down and sits in it. And does her pose, and then Hazuki did it from the outside. And just gave her 2 middle fingers on there. It lasted a little too long. I can see why you might get bored by that, but otherwise, I thought it was a fantastic match. Suzu doing some great work. She's got a like really revamped version of herself with the character. I think she's doing some great stuff there. And Kamatani's been a total revelation as a heel. like way improved in my opinion. I know a lot of people liked her as a babyface, but I was never really on board with her, no matter how hyped she was. And I get that she was an idol, and she obviously had great, great look, great dance moves early on. I will give her that with her idol background, but as a wrestler, I thought she was kind of like, it took her some time to grow, and I think that now she's in this heel run, she's fully unlocked herself. And I just think she's an excellent champion for Stardom. And you've seen it with the attendances.
Yes.
Things are going up. And
Totally.
she like her fan base loves her. And I've really grown to be, I'm one of her people. Like right now, I love her very much as champion. And I think that she's doing some great work. So big shout out to Talsaya. Really turned my opinion around with this heel turn. She's doing some great work. Suzu's great. The artist match was great. The Kokoma and Yagami match was very well done. And just the fact that they're doing so well, I think keeps them on the radar. Whereas, the last couple of years, it felt like they kind of were slipping a little bit.
Mm.
But I think they're in a really good place right now. The whole company's doing some good work. So big shout out to Stardom. Check that show out.
Yes, I certainly will when I get the time to do that. In TJPW, in contrast to that, they had a very successful Korakuen Hall show on January 4th, with 1,483 in attendance. And now they had the Futariwa Princess Max Heart tournament that was a tour of 4 dates, and it eventually ended on February the 8th in Korakuen Hall, and the drop-off was significant for TJPW with 551 in attendance. It looked grim in Korakuen Hall for this one, and the final and the main event for that was Hyper Misao and Shoko Nakajima defeating Max the Impaler and Pom Harajuku. And I mean, it's safe to say that this was not a match that people went crazy about, because nobody came to Korakuen, basically, 500 fans. In the semi-main, we had Suzume and Jada Stone had a very good match, I thought. They did good work. But I don't think that this final was necessarily anything that people went crazy about. I mean, the rating is okay for cage match. We know that the cage match users that love TJPW will give that a high rating. I thought it was fine. As I thought that the show was mostly fine. I think I besides the Suzume and Jada Stone match that I liked the most, I think that Mio Watanabe and Uta Takami was very good, and Arisu Endo and Wakana Uehara was very good. Uehara and Uta Takami, those are some wrestlers that they will focus on. Mifu Ashida is surely getting there. She was fine in the match against Kamifuku. There are certainly some wrestlers that will get there eventually. But this Korakuen Hall show, overall, I mean, just like I said, it has a high rating of 8.53, but to be quite honest, I didn't see this one as strong as the Jerry Foss show.
Strig, I really agree with what you said about the fans. And we saw it in our Wars last episode. Their fans ride with TJP in DDT, so I really agree with that. I think this final show was better than the tournament shows that came before it. I would say.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I think that's the good thing. What you said about the attendance is totally accurate. Like that there was not a lot of people there. I thought the semifinal show was like really bad, like actively bad, to be honest. The rest of the stuff was more perfunctory and not like nothing special nor terrible. I would say. I thought the booking of the final was not what I would have done at all. But I think that having Misao and Shoko as a team, total TJP team, the fans love them, blah blah. So I get it. And Max and Palm are a meme team, kind of. So I get it.
And they are definitely, yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I knew the match wasn't going to be really for me, but it is what it is. I wouldn't have put it as the main event, and I also don't think that it was the right decision, even objectively, with the attendance. But I agree with what you said. I really like the look of this Jada Stone. I think that she's a really young wrestler that has a lot of really potential and upside and is already pretty good. And Suzume and Endo are my 2 favorites in the company. Mm-hmm. And I thought they both had good matches. I think my second favorite would be Endo and Uehara as well. 2 great young talents, of course. Jada Stone really showed out well in the Princess title match, though. Good stuff from Suzume. Really does a good job as champion too. Yeah, I think she's more known as like an underdog challenger type of player. But I think hers with the belt actually works really good too. She knows how to lead a match like that as well. And Jada did a good job facing her. So good stuff there. Endo and Wahara was good. Totally agree with Watanabe and Takumi. Now this Takumi is
she's great.
Yeah,
she is so good.
Oh, absolutely. I think that she has the upside to be like their version of a Mei Suruga type.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Yeah, and I really see that she can reach that level, and Suruga's great in her many ways. Even in TJP when she was the maid, it was a great gimmick for her as well. So
the movement is already so good when she does the rope assisted dropkick. She's so clean with all of what she does. It's amazing, and she's been only wrestling for a couple of months, like almost close to a year.
Yeah, good stuff for her. I really liked what I saw from Takumi, and Miyu is obviously a great opponent too. So Ashida, I don't think was in position to show out, but I've seen her plenty, and
she's great.
And I know how good she is. So yeah, absolutely. So I think when she faces more different opponents and different matches higher on the card, she's going to show that she's right up there too. So the youth is good. Even the match with Aino with Haru was
the match she had with Mizuki was actually much better than this one here at the Korakuen show.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so that's a lot of really good young pieces they have. It just hasn't taken hold yet. And like I said, I don't think I would have made that the final. That's all I will say about it. And I think maybe in the future, we'll see what happens in March with the big show. But I like a lot of the young pieces they've got overall. I do have to objectively say that. So it was a good effort from that standpoint. I wouldn't come close to an 8.53 if it were up to me, but it was a good showcase for the young wrestlers to have all these singles matches. So I liked it from that standpoint, even if it wasn't an exceptional show in terms of match quality.
Yes. So that was a TJPW with the tag tournament in the main event. Then we had the beginning of the Excite series for All Japan Pro Wrestling. And by the way, also for quickly going back to TJPW, we have the Princess title match, Arisu Endo challenging Suzume, her tag team partner. That we talk about tag team wrestling now. At the Big Ottawa show, that's a match that I've been calling for since last year. It was one of my predictions last year, actually, for 2024, that they will have a title match. And now in 2025, it's going to be finally realized. I love that. And of course, Rika Tatsume is challenging for the Prince of Princess Championship.
That'll be great. Rika's one of the best.
Yes. All Japan. They had a successful Korakuen Hall show on February 9 with 1,276 in attendance for a tag team title main event, which I thought it has only one rating on Cage Match, but that's an 8.0. I don't think it reached the heights that I thought it could be. I thought the Aoyagi brothers could have been stronger challengers for the Saitos. I don't know. The match was good, but it really lacked any great drama. And I really thought that the challengers could at any point win the championship. So overall, it was the main event of a show that overall had good matches, but nothing that in particular really stood out. Or what did you think about it?
Yeah, the thing is, when this match was announced, and just to take a step back quickly, did you see the show with the title match, the Triple Crown match that June had versus Odzai at the end of last month?
Excellent match.
Yeah, that's interesting because I thought it was good. I didn't think it was great, actually. So I was kind of like having doubts about June, but if you like the Odzai match, then I guess that kind of waves that point aside.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I really came away. I watched the match live, and my takeaway was I also posted that takeaway on my Blue Sky.
Yeah.
I was very into the match because we saw new sides from Jun Saito's offense. I really liked how he was implementing more kicks into his arsenal, not necessarily like those like middle kicks or spinning kicks or stuff like that, but he used big boots. He used running drop kicks. He used the running Yakuza kick, for example. I really liked that he branched out to more of another style that he did. Yuma Anzai was a great first challenger because Anzai is an incredible guy that is able to sell a lot of the offense that Jun Saito has. Anzai is more explosive than a guy like Jun Saito, and was able to do that in this match to help Jun Saito have a good match after the very disastrous title change that we saw in December.
Yeah, I thought that they got off to a really rough start, actually. And I think that the match got better as it went along.
I agree.
Overall, and I thought that was a real ugly sign early on after June's last match that you mentioned, the title win, which I don't think anybody was a big fan of overall. But I thought that they did a good job of ramping up. And I think Anzai is such a great wrestler that he was going to make this work. It wasn't at the level that I would like from a Triple Crown match, but when you talk about it and the way you laid it out, the way I remember it now, it did build to it got better the later it got. I just remember that rough start kind of soured me on it a little bit, but the fact is, continue.
Yeah, since we're at the title matches that we didn't talk about yet, what do you think about both of the Musashi title matches that we saw?
I thought the win, I really wish that it had been a bigger moment against Doi. I think Doi, when his first title run, I thought really was successful, and he did a great job in it. He was really motivated. Remember, he's doing stuff at DDT at the time too. This go around didn't really hit the same, I think, and I think that was really my bigger problem with it. And I don't think it made. I was happy for Musashi to get the win. I mean, this is a guy I've known about for years from Impro, and to see him on a bigger stage like this is cool. Don't get me wrong. I like since we're kind of moving on to the tag title match, I like the Musashi and Sato match better than the tag match, in my opinion. But it wasn't great, I would say.
I might actually agree with that.
I'm not sitting here saying it was this great match, but I thought they had decent enough chemistry. I mean, it was like a 12.5-minute match. It was like a baseline. To me, this is like my definition of a wreck. Like 7 out of 10, 3.5 star level. And I think the main event was a little lower than that. I think that I agree with what you said about there not being any drama. And I think that I don't want to criticize this man too much, but I really think Aoyagi Yuma has lost something. And I don't know why. I don't know what it is. I don't know if there's a reason behind it. It just feels like the heart that he used to have has been replaced by wanting to ramp up every bit of goofball instincts that he has.
Certainly.
And what he had before isn't there for some reason. Like I don't know why. I don't know. I don't get it, man. And it's really disappointing because he was one of my absolute favorites. I voted him for MVP last year at the awards.
I think lots of it has been the second title run that has been undercut so quickly.
I agree. I mean, when you have two, and it was the second in a row where he got undercut and yanked out from under him.
But in the second one, I think it was worse because this title run, when he won the title from Anzai, that was a big surprise to all of us. Yeah. And he talked it up before that as his opportunity to make right what he did wrong when he lost the title to Nakajima. And then he had was it like a 3-month run? And he dropped it to David West Smith Jr.
Yeah.
I don't think that he came out of that looking good in any way. And for the foreseeable future, I don't know if he can be a top guy anymore because that was just not a good run.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to argue that, unfortunately. And I still really respect his game. I love what he brings to the table when he's on his A game. I think he could be literally one of the best guys in all of Japan, not just his company. Again, I voted him for MVP last year, despite what happened with Nakajima. I think just unfortunately, like you said, I really think your explanation makes a lot of sense, and I can't say that's true for sure, but what you said honestly makes sense. So yeah, I buy that because I don't think he's really been where he was and should be in a long time now, and hopefully he gets back. Atsuki, I still have a lot of hopes for the junior division. Him and Musashi, I think, could be a good match. But I do think there may be a ceiling on a lot of these junior matches when it's like, okay,
there's a ceiling.
third or fourth match from the bottom. Like you're in the middle of the card, you're going to get 10 to 14 minutes. And there's only so high they're going to be able to go. And I thought they did a good job with Sato, but it wasn't anything like, oh, this is what this is what this division really needs. Hopefully with Atsuki, they can put a little bit more effort into whenever he gets his big run. And they could have, because I know him and Musashi can have a blowaway match. Musashi's had great performances in the tag team with Yoshioka, but it just, we'll see what it does. Again, I'm not throwing in the towel in the juniors. Yuma has really let me down lately, I have to say. With and again, I think it's just a lot of it's mental. He just wants to lean into this comedy stuff.
Yes, he does.
And hopefully it could turn around for the carnival.
Yeah, before the carnival, actually, we have another Kurk. No, I mean, they announced the carnival lineup. We might as well talk about the carnival lineup too.
Sure.
But before that, they have another Kurken that is on March the 3rd. Is it? Oh, there's another show before that. When is it? The Esforta Arena Hachioji, actually, where they do the All Asia Tag Title match that we talked about on our last show, that we would love to see. They are doing Rising Hayato and Yuma Hanzai against Takuya Nomura and Fuminori Abe, which is a match I'm highly looking forward to.
Absolutely.
And they will also do the singles matches between both brothers. Rei Saito faces Atsuki Aoyagi, and Jun Saito for the Triple Crown faces Yuma Aoyagi as his second challenger. So as a challenger, I think Yuma Aoyagi is still good.
Yeah.
I don't see him winning the title, not in any way. For that, the Saitos are so popular right now, even with their music video out. So
how did you grade their music video, Strigga?
I mean, they are not born singers, but they are great performers in long ways.
Doom. Just the middle of the song.
It's all it takes. It is all it takes. If you have one word that's over, that makes for a great song.
And the way they said it in the video was very funny. So big fans of the Saitos for sure. I didn't love the tag title match, but and I haven't loved this title reign in general, like right now. But let's hope things can improve for everybody. And let's hope that Aoyagi could get his head in the game, prove that you are the man that I said you were. We need the full era back.
We need it back. Yes, so that's a good card here for All Japan Pro Wrestling in Hachioji. Couple of multi-man matches down the card. Gaora TV title, Yuko Miyamoto and Kuroshio, Tokyo Japan. That's going to be a match. And like I said, they are going to be back for Kurken as well. Opening a show for the Dream Power Series on March 9. They announced Musashi versus Seiko Tachibana for the junior title for that. And weirdly, after Yuma Aoyagi and his brother lost the tag title match, Kento Miyahara came out to challenge the Saito brothers with Yuma Aoyagi as business tag, as they are called.
Yep.
I think they will win the title.
Yeah, me too.
Which will lead to the Saitos maybe facing each other for the Triple Crown.
And you have a whole carnival to set up wherever they want to go. So they've got 3 months basically until like they could stretch out him versus Rey for quite a while, to be honest, because like let's say they get through this carnival, the winner should face either at the end of May or the middle of June. Then you'd have another month off.
Yes.
If you wanted to fill in the challenger.
Dylan, I have a counter argument to that.
What?
There is a Ottawa show at the end of March.
Oh, that seems a little soon for that to be right.
It does. But remember, Rey already challenged him in early January.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that makes perfect sense.
They said they first did Anzai, now they are doing Aoyagi. Would be, who else would be there for Ottawa right now?
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, that makes perfect sense. Do you think Rey would win the title?
Wouldn't go that way right now.
Yeah, I think they've got a decent thing going with June. A good thing in terms of draw. Like I said, I haven't loved his match quality, but I think that he's the right guy to be the champion right now. Yeah. No need to flip it, really. Even though, again, the most important point, and as you are just a trader of epic proportions, Rey follows us on Twitter, therefore I want him to win. Okay? Like, that is the most important thing. Why
That's
don't
very
you understand this? Like, okay.
Sorry. I just like June too.
June too.
Can June follow us too?
That's what we need. Rey, if you're listening, get June to follow us. Or maybe he doesn't want to do that because I put him over so much. He doesn't want to share that with June. I get it. I get where you're coming from, Rey. I feel you. Time to grow that beard back.
Yes, definitely. So the Champion Carnival then starts on Wednesday, April the 9th, and it runs all the way until May 18, a Sunday. Once again, Ottawa. Yep. 2 shows in Ottawa. So the lineup for the Champion Carnival was unveiled at the show on the 9th. We have Block A, Kento Miyahara, Jun Saito, Hideki Suzuki, Shotaro Ashino, Kuma Arashi, Kengo Mashimo.
Yes!
Yes, Kengo is back. By the way, he had a 20-minute time limit draw with Koei Sato at 2AW today. That sounded like a good show, too. Zion, former NXT guy, Australian guy. Never seen him before. So, I will go in without judgment.
Nobody has. He hasn't wrestled in like 18 months. Oh. I think he's had like 4 matches in the time span since he got released.
Well, the Lord Crew of 2025.
And well, Lord Crew actually wrestled a bunch. He's a small indie. Zion just hasn't wrestled anywhere.
All right.
But he's here.
He's here now. Cyrus is going to be back. And David Boy Smith Jr. Block A. Block B. Yuma Aoyagi, Rei Saito, Hokuto Omori, Yuma Anzai, Ryokyo Honda, Ren Ayabe, Egg LeBlanc, and Mike DiVecchio, both from Europe, from WXW. And Madoka Kikuta from Dragon Gate.
Yeah.
I like this Block B.
Yeah, he was kind of the big, big surprise of everything.
Yeah, it's a good surprise. It's going to be lots of fresh matches here in Block B.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm all about it. A block.
Yes.
You've got some interesting matches. I think Ashino versus Hideki.
Yes.
Good stuff. Ashino versus Kengo. Good stuff. Kento is going to be there to kind of be the anchor of the block. Be the guy everybody brings it the most against. Zion, again, it worries me a little bit that he hasn't wrestled in, a long time. He's since he got released from WWE, he's had 3 matches. All right. And even then, that one match he had was like a 6-second match. Like, he hasn't had a real match since April of 2023. So that's almost 2 years. And maybe this will be his showing out party.
Mm-hmm.
But you worry a little bit seeing those credentials being what they were. I believe he was some kind of athlete before, like a soccer player or a rugby guy, something like that. So it's one of those Australian sports there, which, by the way, I'm a fan of rugby. I'm not, no shade at all to that. But he had a background of sorts.
He played rugby.
Yeah, because I recognize the name as like, oh, he's a former rugby player. His real name, which it makes you wonder why he's keeping the Zion name.
Yeah.
But whatever. We'll see what he brings. I'm going to have an open mind towards him. Let's see what he can do. If he's motivated, it could be a great diamond in the rough kind of move that they made. B block also has ups and downs, but I would also agree is the better block. Anzai is there to be the linchpin of the block. Aoyagi, again, it's like I want to love him, but the way he's performed of late makes me
making
really
it hard.
And him versus Kikuta, I mean, it's like a guaranteed hip check battle is coming in that match. So I don't know. But if he's on, if he brings it, if this is his rebirth, then he could be a great addition. Honda, a very talented wrestler to have. Rey, I like him. I want to see what he could do. But Kikuta, my DM was very over last time, very emotional, and we talked about it in the tag league, that it definitely felt like he was coming back and the crowd accepted him. So that turned out to be true. Aigle Blanc, he had a decent run when he came in earlier. Last time.
He was a junior, by the way, when he came in the last time.
Yeah.
Now he's going to be in the heavyweights.
I wonder how many matches he'll win in this block.
Yeah, he bulked up significantly in the last couple of months. I guess he will be good for that. Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
I thought he had potential when he was there last. I didn't love his run when he came in last time, but I thought he had upside to him. And I think that it's good that he's getting a chance as a heavyweight.
I think he has significant chances to beat, for example, a guy like Honda. Honda is a guy that
he can lose.
Can win stuff and lose stuff. Who knows?
Yeah.
Koto Omori, for example, as well.
Oh yeah,
same,
for sure.
Same guy. Ren Ayabe, why not?
So. even how big Ayabe is, you're gonna beat him anyway.
I mean, there's potential for Aigle Blanc to have between 4 and 8. Same for Mike D.
Yeah, they're on the same level.
Shout out
Ayabe.
To Yannick. Mike D is back.
He's his favorite wrestler. Yes. Kikuta was a pretty big surprise, and I'll float this question to you. What do you think about the fact that he's here in the Champion Carnival rather than the N1, which Yoshioka wrestled in a couple of years prior? Do you think that signals anything about their working relationships at the moment?
Yeah, there is no working relationship at the moment between Noah and Dragon Gate.
Well, yes, not anymore. But the All Japan one, Doi has been a steady, consistent, even though he's a freelancer.
Yeah.
No, he's still kind of a DG guy, really. You now have Kikuta in here.
Mm-hmm.
They've had Dragon Gate pretty consistent. They had that triple threat match when Omori was going for the junior title, and Atsuki was on Dragon Gate. You had Susumu was the champion, the junior champion, which was a great title reign, by the way. And Sato had fantastic matches. And now Kikuta in the Carnival. I didn't expect this at all. To be honest,
Me neither.
Yeah.
But I think he can be a great fit for this tournament and for this block.
Me too. Yeah, I know. I'm optimistic about his working status in this block. I think he'll be a fine. That's the thing with him. He's always a talented wrestler. I just think that in the colorful world of DG, he wasn't able to really stand out as a character when he was the champion. Here in All Japan, it's a little toned down. And I think maybe he'll be able to fit in really good here. Because in-ring wise, he's really talented. I think he's going to have some great matches. I love that they're putting him with Anzai. That's going to be a banger. Him and Honda could have a great match. And Aoyagi, the upside is there to have a great match as well, even if I worry about the comedic aspects. So Kikuta, great pick. I love that they had a fresh face. This is all new matches for him. It's not... And again, I like Sekimoto and those guys. But we've seen them here before, we know what they're about in All Japan. They're bringing in somebody totally different here. Even Nomura, as much as I love him and I love that they're getting the tag title shot with the Astronauts, you get somebody totally fresh now, wrestling a variety of guys. I think him and Blanc could have a good chemistry. We'll see how his new look and bulking up, as you mentioned, works out in this tournament. Ayabe, if Ayabe won this block, it wouldn't surprise me, to be honest with you.
I was going to ask you about Ayabe because Flosh and I have been talking about him. I think he has not gotten a lot better in a lot of time, actually.
No. He's as a performer, no. But I think they're determined to make something out of him.
I guess so. So you think Ayabe has a chance?
I would like it to be Ansai. But he just had a title shot.
Yes, he had a title shot.
Yeah. Honda?
Honda?
We always say that about him, though.
I know. But from all of those guys, look at those guys. Aoyagi is a guy that just had a title challenge at that point. He has this title challenge in February. Saito, we assume that he gets his title challenge in late March. Then there's Hokuto Omori. He is a comedy guy.
Yes.
Yuma Ansai had a title challenge. Honda didn't have a title challenge in a long time. He is always on the cusp. He just was beaten by Kento Miyahara because of the tag title match they're building up. Then there is Ayabe. Ayabe, from all of those Elpida guys, he is the least focused on. That might be a hint that this one could be a run for him.
Mm-hmm.
Aigle Blanc and Mike DiVecchio, though they won't make it. Kikuta, probably not either. So it comes down to Honda or Ayabe.
I think when we see the schedule, whoever Anzai is wrestling on the last night is going to be a big clue to who moves forward.
We don't have a schedule yet, right?
Yeah. We don't have it. That's all we're only speculating right now. But if he faces Honda or Ayabe on the last night, I think that's a pretty clear cut that guy is going to win the block, in my opinion. And I mean, he might not even wrestle. Oh, yeah, A block. You can never completely write off Kento,
sure.
But it doesn't feel like his time.
You know what I would like?
Yeah.
You were just about to say it. Hideki winning this tournament right now?
That would be great if that happened. I was actually thinking a great story, in my opinion, would be Ashino winning and getting the title shot that he did get it way later, but now it would be that was like a throwaway, like this is a pity title shot. Yeah. Like if he wins the tournament, that's actually a legit build up to finally get what he lost with the injury. But Hideki, I think, is a significant threat as well. He signed the contract in January. He'd be a great challenger for whoever the champion is. I don't think he'll put the title on him, but I think he would be a good challenger if he won the tournament.
Counter argument is he even lost to Yuko Miyamoto for the Gara title.
True. Yeah.
He's just not a guy that they think is a dude.
I think he's a dude and that he could challenge for the title. Win the tournament they might not have him win the tournament though. Like he could be like a throwaway challenger, like last year with Anzai, which was a fantastic match, like probably the best match in the company, like that year. But I think that's about where he's at, like a filler title guy who could have a great match, more so than winning the Champion Carnival. But I think the winner's probably going to come from B Block, either Honda or IAB.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Kento hasn't gotten a challenge yet against June. That would be a revenge type of match for last year. It would be. Yeah. That kind of gives you a story like, okay, he beat him in the Champion Carnival final. That's an obvious challenger now. If he won the tournament. I could see Kento winning, to be honest, but I think that they'd be better going for a Honda. I'm with you on IAB. I'm not a big fan of this, to be honest.
Since I assume that Kento and Yuma Oyagi will be tag team champions by that point in time, I don't think either guy is winning.
Yeah, you're right. That's true. Yeah, if they win the tag belts, yeah. Good point. Let's stick to my original prediction. Say either Honda or Ayabe will win. But I would rather it be Honda. Although he's another guy that leads to comedy sometimes.
Yes.
I'm not a big fan of the dance afterward. Not a big fan. That's all I'm saying.
I'm going with Hideki.
Yeah. I mean, you just said they don't think he's a guy.
No, I said it about Ashino.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I was saying Hideki could be the guy they see, but yeah, sure. Hideki winning. Ashino, yeah. I mean, he already won the tournament, so he doesn't need it. I just thought it would be a cute story, kind of. Yeah. But Hideki winning would be great, and I think I would rather it be him than one of the younger guys, to be honest with you, because like you, I'm not a fan of Ayabe. Honda, he's a little too into comedy, and I don't think they've built him up. Well, if they built him up in the tournament, I guess they could. We'll see, though. I think overall, this tournament looks pretty solid. Yeah. I wouldn't say I'm hype for it, but it's good. And Kikuta is a really good, guest player to have.
Yeah,
if he I just hope it's not like Yoshioka, because when Yoshioka was in N1, he really wrestled a very basic version of himself. It wasn't his best work by any means. I hope Kikuta has excitement and like go. He wants to go for it here.
Yeah.
Make me proud, Kakuta.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the Champion Carnival.
Yeah.
I would have one more talking point here on this show, Dylan, and that is actually another tournament that was announced, or the lineup was announced for it, and that is the Rey de Parejas tournament for DRAGONGATE, which they announced the lineup for at the Hurricane Hall show on the 5th, I think they did. Yes, that was correct. We have 2 blocks of 6 teams with Yuki Yoshioka, you just mentioned. He is finally returning to action after 14 months. And when he came out after the main event on the 5th, he looked so happy to be finally back in the mix. Good for him. Great guy. He teams up with Dragon Dyer as the original D-Courage, which kind of makes Madoka Kikuta the odd man out. As Yoya Tanaka, they don't think is ready right now. He's not in the tournament. So the original D-Courage is back, which is going to create an interesting dynamic when all 4 of them are together, which raises the question what happens with them. Then we have a longtime tag team, then former 0-1 international junior tag team champions, Suzumu Yokosuka and Kagetora, one of my favorite tag teams back in the day, 2008.
Yeah.
And they were great. Kota Minura and Jason Lee, the Open the Twin Gate champions. Jackie Kamai and Rita, who have developed incredible chemistry as a tag team.
Oh, yeah.
Ishin and Yoshiki Kato, good tag team as well, big guy tag team. And Ryo Fuda and Daiki Yanagiuchi from the new Mochizuki Dojo. I like that they got back with the Mochizuki Dojo. That's great. And in Block B, we have the second team from the Mochizuki Dojo, Masaki Mochizuki and Akihiro Sahara. Good power dude as well. We have Hio and Kuroshio, Tokyo, Japan. And when Jay learned about that tag team, you could hear in his voice what he was thinking about that.
Jay is great when you get him on something he clearly hates.
Yes.
Like the deal where they did with Yoshida, where they had him dress up like a woman. You could tell that he hated this so much. Like he hated that match so much. On there, Jay.
Yes, he hated that so much.
And we all did. It was very terrible. But the fact whenever you get him doing something, commentating something he hates, that's when you get the true best version of Jay.
Yes. We have a master and disciple tag team with Shun Skywalker and Homare. With Benkei and Mochizuki Jr. So we get son versus dad here in this block. KZ and Strong Machine J. KZ is now challenging for the Dreamgate, and he is in the same block as the Dreamgate champion, Yamato. He is teaming with BB Hulk. So there's lots of stories, actually, that you can follow in this tournament. Wait, let me rephrase that, Dylan. That you could.
Yeah, you could.
Could follow in this tournament, much like you could have followed in the King of Gate. But we basically get the same schedule that we got for the King of Gate. We have the first 2 days of the tournament that get shown on the Dragon Gate network. And the final day of this tournament is also going to be televised on the DJ network. But except for that, nothing is on the network, which immediately caused me to once again stop my subscription to the Dragon Gate network. Because that is just not acceptable. If I pay that amount of money, 1,650 yen, for this streaming service, and I get 3 shows from Rey de Parejas, what the fuck?
Yeah, and I've commented on this before. But first of all, I think we have to ask the real questions around here before we get into this. Did you like the Warriors 5 version of Susumu and Kagetora or Jimmy's Susumu and Kagetora?
Jimmy's.
Okay, yeah, I think that's the one where they won the NWA tag titles, but they had won them before.
They won them before that. Actually.
Yeah, or the Twin Gate titles they had won. So yes, in terms of the network, here's the thing, because I've gotten told so many times whenever I say, "Oh, this is crazy," like the network needs to be better, and we've talked about it. We've had people comment on our YouTube shows that say, "Look, I'm just like STRIGGA. I canceled my run in November when that happened. They're like, I canceled my subscription because of this." And it's the principle of it in a lot of ways, and just the lack of content in others. And the thing is, the reasons I've been given were essentially budget issues. Like they don't want to pay people to put up these shows for whatever reason.
Yeah.
B, they're worried if they put too much on there, it'll stop people coming for the shows live. That's why the YouTube clips went down. We saw it with GLATE, where they took their YouTube shows down for the same reason.
And it has not benefited their attendances in any kind of way. It is not going to benefit or destroy attendances for Dragon Gate in any way. And
on top of it, the fact remains, and this is another thing that I was told in the past. Well, come on, Dylan. You were there. You remember the days of Mega Upload. You remember the days when you had to wait 5 months to get a show. Look at how much better we have it now, how blessed we were.
That is not an argument.
That's exactly what I said. Like, this is exactly my response to that. You, the company, Dragon Gate, have this network.
Yes.
This is not a figment of our imaginations. This is not a prophesized thing. This is not a hypothetical situation. It's real. It happens. You charge people for it. It's there. You can't say, look at all these reasons we don't have stuff. No, you have the network.
Don't have a network. You brought up GLATE. Brought up GLATE. They did similar thing, even though they don't charge for it, but they put their shows on YouTube for free, and there is no way of going back from that.
Right. And we've seen that already with how things have gone for GLATE since they stopped doing the YouTube. Yes. It didn't help anything. Like you said, this stuff doesn't help. The data is there. But the thing is, these guys are run by old timers who are stuck in their ways and live by that thing. You have to, if you want to see a show, pay a ticket to it. Like it's been done in every generation since the dawn of TV. There were companies that didn't want their shows on TV because they were afraid that it would drop attendances.
I want to put this into greater context, Dylan, too.
Yes,
it was a big concern in German football when the network that was there before Sky suddenly started to air full matches on all of them. People in football also thought that would take away attendances. People were supposed to buy tickets to the matches, but it never led to people not wanting to go to a football match live. Attendances for German football now, even though everything is live, are always so high that most of the matches for the popular teams, at least, are sold out.
Right.
And if a company is red hot, they will not make an argument that their streaming service is one of the points that will. I mean, Stardom also has a streaming service, and they sold out Kurikan.
Yes.
There is no point in that argument.
Go all the way to the top of the heap in wrestling. WWE, STRIGGA. Every show, if you want to watch them, are available on Netflix or wherever. And somehow they sell out at their exorbitant and insane prices that they charge their fans.
It's just a very cheap argument for a company that is just not successful with their attendances.
I totally agree. But we've seen that before. How many times have we heard, oh, well, that Dome show wasn't on the weekend, so that drew things away. But then they do this year's show on the weekend, it's still bombed. It's like, it is what it is. Like, they always find something to excuse whatever. So I agree with that.
And there also is a greater context to that, especially with Japanese pro wrestling. We've talked about that off the air, and I try to phrase it as diplomatically as I can. Yeah. When I was in Japan, I was able to have a better look at attendances and at people going to the shows. And there is a big portion of middle-aged men that go to wrestling shows in Japan. Of course, Dragon Gate is a company that always attracts younger females. So Dragon Gate might be out of the conversation here, but other companies are certainly not. Sometimes Dragon Gate, like Dragon Gate, they get new fans. Mostly when they get new fans, those are young females that have sometimes young children, and they will be out of the loop in a couple of years after that. That's something that happens to Dragon Gate fans a lot. But there are other companies in Japan that also have a similar fan base that, not a similar fan base to Dragon Gate, but they have a similar fan base to the case that I just made. They have middle-aged men that go to their wrestling shows, especially those Yoshi companies. For example, Oz Academy. They have a lot of those fans. Even Stardom have a lot of those fans, and TJPW, they also do have a lot of those fans. And when you look at the international market, there is a strong demand for Japanese pro wrestling. I think there is a stronger demand for Japanese pro wrestling than there has been in a long time. I mean, New Japan Pro Wrestling has been red hot in the mid-2000s, mid-2010s.
Yeah.
So the pandemic, of course, caused a big drop-off. But when you look at people going to the Tokyo Dome this year, there were a lot of fans going to the Tokyo Dome, even though New Japan Pro Wrestling isn't at its hottest. And there were a lot of international fans going to all of these shows and being in Tokyo.
Unquestionably more this year than years prior. Like significantly more.
Yes. We everybody of us knew people going to Tokyo, and you could walk the streets of Tokyo and meet fans internationally from international countries. It happened to me. It will happen to you in Tokyo when you're in for December and January. So I feel that the Japanese companies, they should take care of their international fans much, much more, because this customer base, that will be able to help them make their income. Because Japan is a country that we know has issues when it comes to their
childbirth rates and stuff.
Yes,
like
their childbirth rate and their demography, Dylan. There's issues with the demography in Japan. There's just, like you said, there's not as many children that a country like an industry country like Japan would need. And it also, of course, weighs on the Japanese pro wrestling fans. I'm not saying that these companies will run out of money or will run out of fans very soon, but that certainly has to be a talking point for the foreseeable future. And there is a demand from international fans to watch these shows. There was a strong demand for international fans to watch these YouTube uploads for the Dragon Gate faithful fans, and they aren't there anymore. There is a demand to follow these stories for the Rey de Parejas, but there is only 3 shows, and that's just not it. That is not how you take care of a streaming service in a day and age, like you said. For example, WWE, you can watch everything that they do, and we talked about the Champion Carnival. You can watch every single show of the Champion Carnival.
Yeah.
Not always live, but you can watch every single show of that.
And they're a great comparison to DG because they don't have the backing of a New Japan. Yeah,
exactly.
If you want to use budget reasons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah. Just like somehow they get it done. Either way, despite not being owned by a mega corporation.
I think these Japanese companies are overlooking what kind of impact the money coming in from the outside, from America, from Europe, from Africa, from other Asian countries. They are overlooking that to a degree that it will eventually bite their ass.
It's interesting because in a lot of ways, New Japan tried that last year with the Moxley run, with having more shows in America, do the stuff with AEW. And it didn't lead to great things for me as not just me, but us as fans. Ultimately, I don't think many people were really praising that Jon Moxley run that we had, but the attempt was there. They had one big show. Then by the end of the year, that show that was headlined by Monet and Hazuki was not a great draw at all. Which so that was a big drop off from April and June. I just think that the companies right now are in a rough spot in general. And there may be some truth to what you're saying. And again, I think New Japan tried to exploit that last year.
I'm not talking about all the companies, definitely. I mean, New Japan is trying with their English service, of course. But like, for example, DDT. DDT and Noah, they have such strong backing. They definitely could do more. Especially DDT with English commentary. We get English commentary from Noah. We'll see how that goes in the future. But there could be more invested into just providing service to international fans.
Yeah, I've talked to Ashman before, the commentator for DDT. Yeah, he's a really good person, like really cool guy. The people they bring on were like, literally, it was so like just trying to get people on to do the commentary on there. So like you could tell that they don't put as much care into that as if you're dealing with a TV Asahi or a Gaora or whatever network they're a part of, their shows are a part of. They deal with these broadcasters that come in, and they don't have the same level of care for the English speaking side. And I just think it's interesting. Like you said, the pandemic, big shots across the board, across from everything in life and Japanese wrestling. I remember making a similar point before too about when the pandemic was going on, about the excuses being made sometimes. When the boxing match with the fight with Inoue drew 55,000 to the dome during the middle of the pandemic. Somehow that happened.
That happened,
despite all of the cries of the companies not being able to do it. But in reality, they just weren't very hot. And that's really what it comes down to. Ultimately, it can all be boiled down to these companies, even New Japan. Maybe it's changing. We just talked about a wonderful show at the start of the show. Great draw. Stardom did great at Korakuen Hall. Yes. Noah's doing a lot better at Korakuen Hall since Ozawa's been champion.
By the way, this February 11 was a very successful day for lots of companies in Japan. It was a holiday. Noah, like you said, very successful. They sold out Korakuen Hall with 1,560 fans. All Japan had 485 in Fujisan. Stardom had a show that happened where did it happen? In Hiroshima with 437. Marigold in Nagoya, 315. So yeah, there was lots of shows throughout the entire country that did do well for the individual companies.
And that's great news, and maybe it'll continue as time goes along. But in general, though, I don't know if you saw we talked about it on Gate of Bayside, but also the show they did recently for Korakuen, where Yoshioka returned. These crowds are not that hot for DG right now. That they're in, and I think that's the main problem. Is that if this company was doing a lot better, I think there would be more room for them to justify it. Because I think to them and a company at that level, they're going to focus, especially for them, I think even more so than an All Japan. The big difference between them and All Japan is All Japan is not situated in Kobe like Dragon Gate is. They're more of a rural-based company. They run a lot of shows that not everybody goes to. Stardom's another one. They go to a lot of small towns that don't have wrestling. So being in Kobe might actually be a legitimate reason to not have the same caliber of video technicians as some of these other companies would. But even still, like I said, that's not an excuse, though. That doesn't mean they shouldn't be criticized for not putting shows up on their network that they own. They have up that don't have the network if you are not capable of running it effectively, ultimately. But I mean, it is what it is. Now, the thing is, we as customers, and you exercised your right. You just said it again. Once again, you did it. We know what they did. They didn't lie. They didn't say, no, we're putting them all up and then only deliver 1 or 2 shows. They said, we're not showing these shows. it's now up to us, the consumers, to make that decision. Do
Yeah.
we want to pay extra money when we can pay half of this for Wrestle Universe, or we can pay, or even half of this for All Japan, or New Japan, whatever, or we can pay for this and we can support the company and not get that much content out of it. And if you are a fan of these guys and you're very emotionally invested, there's plenty of people I'm sure have no problem supporting the company just based on supporting the company. But if you're, but that's not a viable option to success. Ultimately, there's only so many of those diehard loyal fans. You have to make people want you, and and obviously this is a big problem. And hopefully, whatever they have to do, whoever they have to convince, I know there are people that are trying.
There are,
but if they can work this out. It's a shame because I think DG's been one of the best companies quality-wise over the last year. It won our promotion of the year last year, but that was my argument against them. If you remember why I said I would have voted for All Japan instead, is that we did not get to see the King of Gate. I was salty about it. I admit that. I paid for this, and I didn't get what I felt I deserved as a customer. So I think that when you look at that, there's going to be more disgruntled people in Japan, in America, in Europe, wherever you're at. I think that those customers there's going to be a growing discontent if this continues. Maybe not so much during most months, but particularly in tournaments. Rey de Parejas, King of Gate. And I mean, let's face it, like some people are saying, there was a time where the G1, even for New Japan, was sold for over $100 for the whole tournament. On
Ustream, baby.
I remember, but it was seen as a great thing then because of where the economy was at, where things were at in wrestling, the history that we had. But those days are over. We can't go back and say, oh well, it was good when we got one show every 3 months in 2009. No, like that those days are over. We have to accept now the fans want what they feel they deserve. And we've got what we had before, and now you took it away. Like you said, hasn't had an effect, positive or negatively, on their attendance-wise. And it's on them. It's on the company to do right, and maybe not right, but also do what they can for their customers.
Yes. I couldn't add anything to that. And I guess that's the show, right?
We're going to talk about next week or next episode.
Yes.
Hall of Fame.
Absolutely. We have to talk about that. We didn't do the Hall of Fame for the Year-End Awards show, but we definitely want to talk about the Hall of Fame. We want to induct 2 new people to the Eastern Lariat Hall of Fame. So far, we have inducted Hana Kimura and Saki Akai as the first 2 inductees in late 2023. The Year-End Awards show this time got so long that we didn't do it. We will definitely, at the next show, add 2 more members to the Eastern Lariat Hall of Fame. And if you're listening to this, please let us know who you think would be worthy to be added to this Hall of Fame. It is not a Hall of Fame that necessarily wants to add like a Kazuchika Okada, who obviously is a Hall of Famer in many ways, or like want to say like I don't know, Keiji Muto, Kento Kobashi. They of course are Hall of Famers, but the Eastern Lariat Hall of Fame is for those wrestlers that we have followed throughout the history of the Eastern Lariat. That is our Hall of Fame, and we look at those who would be representatives of the Eastern Lariat. And who do you think that is? If you're listening to this, please let us know on our Twitter. Let us know on our Blue Sky that we also have now. Let us know who you think would be worthy of being added to the Eastern Lariat Hall of Fame.
Instagram as well. We're
Instagram,
on there.
YouTube.
YouTube there. Let us know. We want the answers. We want the speculation. We already know who it's going to be. Like we picked who we're going to induct.
We know it's going to be. Yes.
But we still would like to see some ideas and speculation. It would be very fun. At the end of the day, like you said, it's not as self-righteous as most Hall of Fames. I would say this is a more lighthearted, like you said, it's for the show where we've been at through our careers in Eastern Lariat. And, it's a really cool thing. I will say this. I'm absolutely thrilled with both inductees. This is my hint I'll give everybody. I personally am a huge fan of both of our inductees and their wrestling styles and their many, many great matches over the years. So hopefully everybody has fun with that. Last year's with Saki Akai and Hana was a great thing. Mm-hmm. And I think this year, I'm glad we're doing it on its own spectacle at the end rather than tack it on with the awards, which was good too last year. But I think this could be great in its own right. I definitely hope everybody enjoyed the show this week. And big, big, big thanks to everybody who voted in the awards, which was our last episode. As I said, it was my goal to make it, when we had the name changes and all of that, to make it the biggest and best, in Japanese pro wrestling. And I think with all the winners, I thought was great. I don't think you'll get any kind of awards like that really cover everything. Like I said, 19 different promotions. I listed all of the hometowns from everybody on our Twitter page in the comments, or any comment that I posted under the list of the award winners. Every prefecture almost was represented. It's like we had so many people, over 100 wrestlers nominated in some form. So thank you guys so much for that. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed that as well. And I can't wait to really kick it into overdrive for 2025. Great show with New Japan. Great vibes all around. Goto is the champion. It ain't nothing but a G thing, man. Nothing but a G thing for Goto.
It's incredible. I still can't believe it, actually.
I'm really happy for him, man. I'm happy for me. I'm happy for Flash. I'm happy for all the fans. This was a moment, and that is what I've been told many times that wrestling is about, is creating moments.
Yes.
This is what we got, and hopefully many great things are ahead. And maybe one day, every company will be hot again, and we'll be having lots of fun with it, because I think we got a great first start here in February 2025, and I can't wait to see how the rest of the year goes.
The Goto revolution is rocking right now. This has been the Eastern Lariat. Thank you all for listening, and goodbye.
Sayonara.